Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bent with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close versus some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say in every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
We have Brian Riordan with us today. He is a re-recording mixer, music mixer, and producer, musician, entrepreneur, and also founder and CEO of Levels Audio. He has won 2 Grammy Awards and 4 Emmys. Brian and his team at Levels Audio recently did all of the sound behind Peacock's new original series, True Story with Ed and Randall. The series is especially meaningful because he runs the nonprofit Hollywood Compassion Coalition, whose mission is to create positive change in the entertainment industry.
And we're going to talk about all that
And a lot more.
So welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. And I like to start the show out kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Last 18, 20, 22 months have been rough for a lot of people, but especially in entertainment, because entertainment with COVID has really got wiped out for a while. So how did COVID affect what you do, and what have you done to maneuver through it?
Yeah, COVID definitely impacted us. I will start by saying we were very blessed. A large part of our focus with my sound facility is unscripted. So we do a lot of concerts, we do a lot of music related shows, we do a lot of documentaries, documentary features, reality shows, and fortunately we had enough of that stuff in the hopper that our big trick when COVID hit, the big thing we had to do is figure out how to move everyone off site. You know, we have all these really high-end recording studios that are really not only equipped with the right gear, but they're also sonically built with the right soundproofing and attenuation and everything. So figuring out how to pivot quickly and set that all up pretty much overnight. And that involved, people with young toddlers setting up recording studios in their living room, and the baby's supposed to be napping, and other people having to put it in their garage where they don't have air conditioning, and it was in the middle of summer. So it was there was a lot of different things going on. But it was almost difficult. I almost feel guilty even saying it, but we were busier than we've ever been when COVID. So there was a lot of psychology involved in that, because you've sort of got like, Armageddon, right? Where we all thought the world was coming to an end, and I'm expecting everyone to work, harder and more hours than they've ever worked. So it was a tough dynamic, but we've got an incredible team, and we all got through it, and we were grateful to have the work when it all kind of settled down. But then eventually we finished everything that had been shot. Hollywood was completely shut down. They couldn't shoot anything further. We were grateful to still have a lot of these bedroom concerts and these vaccine televised simulcast shows, and a lot of these type of things that kept us at least somewhat working.
It's like for us, we launched the show January of 2020, so a couple months before COVID. And I remember our original plan was maybe do 100 interviews our first year. Thought if we could do that, be a great foundation. And then COVID happens, and I'm watching everything get shut down. I told Sandy, I was like, we can't change this, but people like you are going to need a place to talk, and we're going to give it to them. So we stepped it up and did everything we could. And we did over 300 interviews that first year, and we're over 500 now because of that.
That's amazing. Yeah. And
thank God. We were busier than ever.
Yeah. Thank God for broadband connections and video chats, right?
Yep. And, I kind of think the future is, we've always had this technology, but I think the future is going to be, and I'm already starting to see some people play with this a little bit, but I think the future for concerts is going to be, you're going to be there, you're going to do your concert in person like we always have, but you're going to set up your live stream for your audience around the world too. And I think this is going to be a way to combine both.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been going on, as you said. That's been, that started ramping up before COVID, but this will be the accelerator for all of that for sure.
Yeah, because things like this, StreamYard, they had to all of a sudden put a lot of StreamYard, Zoom, BeLive, all these systems
they all had
to put all kinds of money into their platforms because everybody was flocking.
Yeah, those in the toilet paper companies are the ones that the only ones that really benefited from COVID.
That was the crazy. I mean,
Yes, that was
everything
crazy,
that happened through COVID,
the toilet paper shortages.
we're still like, huh?
Yeah, I know, random, but I mean, but
Yeah.
those companies were blessed, you know. It was
We were
true.
lucky. In our
Yes.
neighborhood, we're kind of off from the main road,
And there's a
little convenience store right by our house.
Yeah,
they
kind
never
of
ran
in
out because
front of
most
where we
people had
live.
no idea they exist.
Yeah.
perfect.
So we would, we didn't do like most people. We bought a roll here, a roll there, like we needed. I was like, you know what, I don't want to play
family.
into that.
A responsible thing to do. Yeah,
And
good
I
for
was
you.
hoping that other people out here where we live were responsible too, because I'd be upset if I was responsible and then they run out.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, here in Los Angeles, it was just empty shells everywhere. So
Yes.
A lot of people would ask, when did you know you wanted to be in the entertainment world? I always like to go deeper than that. When did it click for you that the entertainment could be a career move for you?
it clicked at a pretty young age, but it wasn't what I'm doing. It didn't look like the vantage point that I sit at now. I wanted to play music for a living. I was
Oh, wow.
I was one of those kids that knew 100% what I wanted to do. You weren't going to change my mind. That was what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
It is.
I've got 3 daughters, and I'm prepared for none of them to know what they want to do halfway through college, because that's just, that's sort of the norm.
Yeah.
I was very headstrong. I knew that that's what I wanted to do, and I wasn't going to go to college unless I could study music. And so I wanted to play music for a living, and I always was producing and engineering music on the side, either my own music. I was always into technology and all of that, or I was doing it for, I kind of built a home studio in college,
Yeah.
and was always working with local artists or other, peers of mine in college.
Yeah.
So that was always sort of a side thing. And then when I moved to LA and realized, well, I might not be this famous rock star overnight, I figured out that I needed to quickly figure out a long-term plan. And since I already had that as a skill set, at least somewhat, I didn't know much, but I knew enough to be able to fumble my way through it, at least get my foot in the door. And then as time went on, I realized, wow, I'm actually pretty good at this, and I don't hate it. Hours are,
and you're still in the business.
Yeah, and the hours were a lot better. The music side, you were going in, whether you were a musician or a producer engineer, you're starting in the evening and working all night.
Oh, wow.
And I was one that never really wanted to live in hotels and out of suitcases and be on the road. It wasn't, I would have done it, but that wasn't what I naturally wanted to do. And I also didn't want to work every night and sleep all day. So, so I found this beautiful niche of television and sound and music, and they segued really nicely. And yeah, that was it.
I love that, because again, a lot of people, they say, this is what I want. That's like, when years ago, before we married, my big thing was I wanted to be a motivational speaker. That was it.
Yes,
I was going to do that no matter what. And we got married, and I listened to all these audios. I was one of those robot ones where I listen to audios 24/7.
Motivation audios.
She listens to music 24/7. Well, there's a problem when we were in the car.
Yeah.
We had to learn to compromise. And so I started listening to a lot of music and all that. And so she's always been passionate about music, always been passionate about speaking. And here it is, almost 20 years later in a marriage, that we found a way to combine. I still get to speak. It may not be on the front the way I wanted it.
Different platform.
I still get to speak. And she still gets her music and entertainment part. And we be able to build a brand right around that.
Yeah, and you get to feed all of the different angles of it. That's what I love, because I also love business and sales and growing people's careers, and but I need the creative outlet. I need the technical exercise that technical side of the brain, you know. So it's nice to not ever be bored, you know, and to kind of pitches, you know.
Yeah, I love that. Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see the glory behind entertainment, but they don't see the grind, the tears, the sacrifice, the struggles it takes to get anywhere in entertainment. I always want to talk about that side of it, because again, without that, you'll never accomplish anything without the work ethic, you know. So talk
Indeed.
about some of the sacrifices and struggles you've had to go through to build your company.
Yeah, man, it's it looks way more glamorous than it is. I'll tell you that. You know, you nailed it, because yeah, you know, but at the same time, it's also, you know, I mean, it's I wouldn't give it up for anything. So
Yeah.
it's, you know, you compare it to a much less stressful 9 to 5 monotony kind of thing, and you know, there's goods and bads to all of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do a 9 to 5. Again, you know, and like I said, a lot of shows is I don't.
Too much of creative.
If somebody wants to do a 9 to 5, that's great. If that's your passion, go for it, run. But I couldn't do a 9 to 5.
Yeah, I couldn't either, but I certainly respect and understand that, you know,
Yeah,
some of those people live a much more stress-free existence when they can
That's true.
That is
do
true.
their job, punch out, and leave the job behind.
Yes.
But getting back to, you know, for in our industry, it's definitely fueled by passion. It's fueled by passionate personalities. It's fueled by you know, it's a trickle down from the top, where those people work 1,000,000 hours a week, so they expect everyone else to work 1,000,000 hours a week, you know. And it's just this because there's so much, you know, passion and fuel and sort of zeitgeist behind it all. It really is a train that moves at a fast clip, you know. It just does. And it's either, you know, join them or walk away, you know. There's no in between. So work ethic and ability to work long hours and not complain and not sleep and sometimes not eat, those are all requirements. They really are. And it's not healthy, you know. I'm not saying it's not. But it's the norm. It is what's expected. Definitely in Los Angeles and New York and the television and film industries. I can speak to those two. You know, and there's a lot of stress. Not necessarily always super well run, not necessarily always well organized. There's often communication issues, and because things are always, you know, over scheduled, over budgeted, you know, like everything's running, you know, past the point, you know, in the red. It's just sort of by design. So yeah, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices. You know, fortunately, I made a lot of them in the first half of my career, and got to a point where I had to step back and look at life-work balance and go, I just, this isn't sustainable for me and my family and what my goals are. But I wouldn't be able to do that had I not made all the sacrifices that I did earlier on.
That's true.
That is
true. Yeah, you know, working hard and finding ways to work more efficient, and you know, all of that stuff is sort of a prerequisite.
That's like, I remember Will Smith, somebody asked him about his hands in so many different things. This was probably 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But I remember someone asked him about that, and he trying to give advice about launching multiple things. And he says, look, the beginning of my career, I was laser focused. I had to be laser focused. He said, if I was not so laser focused where it was everything all in, he says, I wouldn't have gotten to the point where now I can have my hands in everything.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. No, I completely relate. And by no means am I kicking back and you know, floating on a boat right now. I've got my hands in a lot of things, but it's far more in my own control at this point, which is a wonderful feeling, to be honest.
Well, let's talk about one of your current things, True Story, that you got your hands in.
Yeah, it's a fun show on Peacock with Ed Helms and Randall Parks, and it's really a lighthearted, fun, entertaining show that's very relatable, very diverse, and it's also has a lot of good humor in it. And it's a nice little treat to work on. It's certainly been fun.
So when you look back on your career, let's talk about some of the wow moments. And let's start with, did you ever imagine that you would win a Grammy or an Emmy?
Early on, no, I didn't. Well, I thought I would at a young age. I thought for
in a
sure
different
I'd
way.
Grammy as writing and performing music.
Right.
But that was that sort of, pie in the sky
Yeah.
dream that we all sort of chase.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Emmys go, the first time I got nominated for an Emmy was certainly like, wow, I can't believe it. But I think it was I was giving Susan Lucci a run for her money. I think I had been nominated something like 12 times before I won.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So it was a running joke where I was like, I'm just going to have a lot of nominations and never win one. And honestly, I've always been grateful for being.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
I mean, I was never bitter that I didn't win. But it almost became funny. And then when the first time I won, that was a very solidifying moment of awe and gratitude and just
hard work.
Yeah, life accomplishment that felt really good to be appreciated by my peers that are doing what we do.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people, they say that, awards don't matter. And I get it. They don't. But at the same time, when it happens, it's like one of those things where you're like, wow, this is working. This is my life's dream that I'm building here. And other people see that.
Absolutely. It's not something, some people really lean into having a lot of accolades and awards under their belt and some don't. I certainly, I don't lead with any of that stuff. You know what I mean? That's just something that was wonderful that it happened. It doesn't change necessarily the way we do business at all.
Yeah.
But it's nice. It's just a nice, just sort of pat on the back from your peers that are all in this business together, because those are the ones voting.
Yeah. So what are a few other wow moments for you that's happened in your career so far?
The biggest wow moments are probably some of the less glamorized ones, or ones that are probably less fun to talk about. But for me, it's building the business. I mean, that's I've had a lot of celebritying, working with a lot of great, incredible musicians and huge actors and all of that. And most people would consider that the big wow moments or winning the award. Yeah. For me, it really is, to be totally honest, is hiring amazing people and growing their careers and building this family situation where we're really tight and we feel so strong as a collective body of humans, like that. That to me is my wow moment, that I pinch myself all the time, because the people that work, and not just the employees of mine, but that extends all the way out to the clients that,
that's perfect lead in. That's perfect lead into where I was about to go is, as a lot of people, they see you as the front man, but they don't see the team behind you. In our opinion, teams never get the love they deserve, they don't. Whether it's clients, whether it's PR people, whether it's, other things. And on our show, they get love. So this is perfect segment. I'm glad you talked about that. So tell us a little bit about some of the team that helps you be who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I without sugarcoating at all, I mean, I'm honestly nothing without my team. When I started, it was all me. Had no team. And then the biggest challenge that I've ever had in this career is figuring out how to get people to not just want to come work with me, but be comfortable to work with these other incredible, talented women and men that I've trained, and they've taught me stuff. And we've built like this, this sort of collective, this think tank. And that took a lot. That was an egg that was really tough to crack. Once I figured it out, I was able to duplicate that model but now it's to a point where the team is everything. We have a wonderful building here right in the heart of Hollywood. We've spared no expense building out this facility. But all of that is replaceable. The people are not, that's just the honest truth. And it's a service business. People are coming here to work with the people that are skilled professionals that are doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that honestly hold the relationships and the trust and the loyalty with the clients along with me. But I don't take that lightly, man. That to me is everything.
What would you say is a misconception that people have about what you do?
About what I do in terms of sound engineering?
Yeah.
Boy, I think a lot of people outside of the business itself, really just don't know what it's somewhat hard to explain, and they don't really understand what we do at all. They just think it's cool. It's got to be cool. You're sitting in a cool studio with all these lights in front of a board, and great music's coming out of the speakers, but it's very technical and it's very creative, and it's also very repetitious. Sometimes we listen to the same thing over and over, and my kids all growing up that have had to come in for hours after school and sit with me while I'm waiting to drive home or whatever. They're like, Dad, can you stop playing the same thing over and over? It's like, well, that's literally what my job is. So
it's funny that you say that, because we were last year, I think it was 4th of July week, we were in Nashville. And was that which concert was it?
Oh, Chris Young was filming his new video there on Broadway.
And we were in the audience there, and they spent a whole hour of him singing one part of
like the chorus or something,
over and over,
and sometimes just one line or two.
And so they had the audience participate. And I remember a guy next to me, we were talking, and he kind of friends with everybody on stage, and he's like, Chris would say, okay, we just need a couple more times. And the guy next to me says, nope, about 10, 12 more times. He goes, I know him. It's not a couple. He's just making that. So, but it was one of the exhausting things, because it was like over and over and over to get that right.
And the crowd needed to react the same way on each part to show that energy.
And that's asking a lot of the crowd, because they get tired. Yeah, it's not fun necessarily to watch the same thing over and over. But we're in the business of trying to make things perfect as much as we can, and so there is a lot of repetition involved. Maybe that's I think you mentioned it earlier. One of the biggest misconceptions is that it's just this always fun, glamorous lifestyle and job. And like all professions, there's always upsides and downsides,
Earlier talking about speaking of teams and family, because you brought that up, we have a third co-host, our 10-year-old, that we bring on to ask a couple questions. So Sandy's gonna go get him.
I'll get him.
Nice.
And we've got an almost 3-year-old that when she gets older, she'll be plugged into the show.
Perfect.
Because again, I can't imagine doing this without our whole family involved.
I love that.
And it's funny, we call him our secret weapon, because even if they don't remember Sandy and I, they'll remember this part.
Yeah, that's great.
Because they've never been interviewed with a couple questions by a 10-year-old in most cases. So, and again, because we're family, most cases they've never been interviewed by a married couple. So we got that on it too. But but so many times we would watch a live where an artist would be talking a few days after the show, and he would talk about our show, and they always talk about him. So like, okay, he's our secret weapon, the secret sauce, as they say.
Excellent. So 6th grade then? Hey, there he is.
Hi, Brian. So what's your favorite food?
My favorite food. I would say it's split between Italian and Mexican.
Does that sound good?
Yes.
What's yours?
Mine is pizza.
Pizza, yeah, nice.
And he'd eat it all day long. If we gave it to him. Now, granted, he's thin and he runs a lot and all that, and so right now he's fine, but he'll see down the road that'll change.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite TV show and movie?
Favorite TV show. That's an interesting one. It's surprising that I work in this business. Because I work so much, I don't watch a lot of TV and a lot of movies. It's the honest to God truth. I've got a variety of ones that I've liked a lot, but people think that because I'm in this business that I must watch a ton of it. It's like I like to go home and listen to music and almost sometimes have silence, because I'm in a studio with loud people talking or music at all times.
Because what's yours?
My favorite TV show is SpongeBob, and my favorite movie is Minions.
Minions. There's a new one coming out.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, you're excited.
Yeah.
And what's been cool is because he watches a lot of the Disney and Nickelodeon shows, we've been able to bring quite a bit of people from his shows onto our show too.
Perfect.
So he loves that part of it, don't you?
Yes.
Has it been cool?
Yes. All right, bye. Thanks.
Yeah.
He got a couple shots yesterday, and he's still not feeling well from that. His updated shots for being a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I get it, man. It's you either get lucky and don't have a reaction, or you do. Yeah, it's tough.
Exactly. So, what do you think has led you to build this business in the manner that you build it? Because again, most people who start what you do, producing and remixing and all that, they never make it beyond the beginning stages. How have you stayed the course?
For me, it was always about growth and evolution, both as a person and also as a career. I was just never that person that was going to be comfortable plateauing or sitting still. And that's a bit of a disease. It's not, it's hard to find peace in that. I have, but it took me many, many years to be able to be comfortable with the stillness, and being able to sit still. But again, that was fuel for me to build something and keep building it, keep expanding. And, still now I'm figuring out how to grow it and do other things and start other projects. And so, I've got a lot of drive. I hold my family very, very much responsible for not only supporting me, but also teaching me that drive and that work ethic. And, a lot of the business side of things. I came from a very business oriented family. So a lot of that, I do feel like I was given great tools at a young age, whether I, if you would have asked me at that age, I wouldn't have told you those were valuable tools, and they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. But I
get exactly what you're saying, because I feel this too. Like there are many times where we'll book somebody for the show, and it'll be maybe one of our biggest guests, and I'm already okay. Who's next? I mean, it's like you said, it's like a curse. It's like I can't dwell in. Oh man, we've got so and so coming on in a week or 2 weeks, whatever. No, it's already like, okay, how can we use this person coming on to get now that next bigger one?
Right. Yeah, it's that delicate balance between staying driven and keeping your eye open to growth, but also being able to be present, in the moment and enjoy what is right now. That's definitely an ongoing practice for all of us.
And I think what's helped me too is that we do all this together as a family. And, again, if she had a regular job outside of this and all that, and I had a job and I was doing, it would be a lot harder. But because we do this together, we've been able to build this kind of bubble, so to speak, that although we're all in with our show, we still get to spend so much time together because of our show.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing. You're very fortunate.
So tell us a little bit more about Hollywood Compassion Coalition.
Yeah, I started a nonprofit a few years ago, so it's still a very sort of new entity. Started it when I actually was fortunate enough to spend a week in Dharamsala in India at His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, in the presence of His Holiness, and in that, sort of journey out there and spending that time with the people that we were around. It was an amazing group of human beings. I knew that, again, thinking about growth and what, is this it? Is not that Levels Audio is a bad thing, but what else is going to feed my soul, like on that level?
Yeah.
And there's got to be something more in addition to this wonderful thing that I have going on. And so I decided to create this nonprofit that's really bringing together social scientists and neuroscientists and also contemplative masters, and sort of bridging that with the entertainment industry. So, right now, over the last 10 plus years, technology has advanced the television and film reach. Right now, when I finish a show, it's seen in 191 countries at the same time, at the click of a button, in their own respective languages. I mean, if you would have told any of us 15 years ago that was a possibility, you would have been laughed out of the room. So, the goal is, okay, if technology is changing that rapidly, our consciousness needs to also start evolving at the same pace, or where do we end up? So what Hollywood Compassion Coalition is really focusing on is building a collective of filmmakers and scientists that are looking at, what is this stuff doing? Like, what is the content? It's art. We don't want to step on anyone's freedom to be expressive, but there's a responsibility that we have. I always use the analogy or the metaphor of, we're putting food on the plate and people are going to eat it because we're the ones distributing it. It's time we look at the ingredients a little bit and at least know what it's doing to the people after they eat it.
That makes sense.
Enough data being done, and binge watching is a new thing. What is that doing to especially adolescent minds? Like, I'm not here to judge it. I'm here to just find out, ask the questions and get the data so that we are in a better position to understand what the content we're putting out there is actually doing to people, positive and negative. So really focusing on compassion related on the positive side, can intentionality and positive messaging baked in, even if it's baked into a very dark storyline, does that have a lasting impact? And if so, how long? And what are some of those tools? And can we replicate that? So that, I'm just giving a very broad summary of what it is we're doing.
So as you started doing some research on all of this, what's surprised you the most within that order? I mean, because again, you probably going through all this research, you probably learned some things. You're like, ooh, didn't know that, or wow, that I didn't. What's kind of surprised you the most?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that surprises me the most, honestly, is that right now, with streaming media certainly being the dominating way of watching a television program or a film, as opposed to cable programming or local affiliates. So these are data companies, the Netflixes and the Prime Videos and the Hulus. These are data companies that have all these analytics that we could be using for the betterment of understanding what people are wanting and how it's affecting them. But instead, all of those analytics are really only used for internal marketing perspectives. That's it.
Oh, wow.
It's how do we keep people, and I'm not knocking it, I'm just basically what it is. How do we keep people watching longer, binging longer, let's shorten those credits and let's go into the next episode 3 right away. So that, that's what those metrics are being used for.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a far more valuable purpose that won't necessarily take away from the monetary success of all of it, but it will help the betterment of all of the viewers.
Talking about the streaming and all that, like I was watching a video and I've seen this a couple of times about YouTube Shorts, because I'm trying to learn how to do all that. And I was watching this one guy who's one of the, I guess, gurus of that world. And he was talking about how when you're doing a short that says, 45 to 60 seconds, he says, because everything is so quick paced now, that you have to make each transition 3 to 5 seconds or you'll lose the person, almost like that.
Right. Yeah. The attention span is certainly less and less and less. But at the same time, when you look at feature films, a lot of the length of these feature films are getting longer and longer.
That's true.
There's a weird juxtaposition somewhere in there where a lot of people want short little snippets, but Quibi, which was an entire streaming platform based around very short bits of content, didn't last. It didn't. The model collapsed. So so it's trying to find.
Never know.
That's interesting.
That's like Taylor Swift. She just broke the record of the longest song, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, for going number one.
Number one.
Yeah, the 10-minute version of her song "All Too Well."
And who would have thought that? Because again, with so much saying it's quick, but yet on other fronts, some things are proving that different.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that it's definitely a mixed bag. I think for marketing purposes, short and quick is very effective. And for little viral videos, it's extremely effective. Long pieces of content don't go viral. Or I shouldn't say don't, but it's not,
normally don't.
It's less likely. But when it's a creative storyline, it's hard to get an arc or a song that has a lot of movement in it. It's hard to get that across and move people in a very short period of time. So
that's true. Exactly. Yeah. So what would you like for your legacy to be in the entertainment industry? What would you like to be known and remembered for?
I would love Hollywood Compassion Coalition to really become a social, sort of a movement within the industry where the industry is having far more conversations about what it is what the impact is of what we're producing and putting out in town, and not in town. When I mean in Hollywood is more of a global, filmmakers community. So I think that if we could get there, I would be far more at ease overall that I did something good, that I really made a dent in the world, and that's pushing a boulder up a very steep hill. It's not going to be an easy task, but we've got an incredible team of people that have signed on and have been giving a lot of time and great intellect and insight into it, and we're continuing to build that collective, and I'm very excited about it.
You talk about a boulder. I love the analogy I've heard for years. And you see it on memes sometimes. Is when you're building a business, building a brand, building an artist's career, whatever. At the beginning, it's like you're pushing this boulder up a steep hill, and it's big, so you can't see the hill. You can't see the top. So all you can do is just keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. But if you kind of stop, pause to look back a little bit, the boulder will start rolling back. So you kind of can't do that either. So all you can do is hunker down and push. The top of the hill somewhere up there. You know it. You just don't know how far. And you just keep pushing and keep. And one day that day comes where you go up top of the hill and you can jump on that boulder and roll down the hill until the next hill. But ain't that how it really is?
It really is. It's all hard work, perseverance, trust, faith, and knowing that even if you're on the upswing, there's going to be a downswing. You know, it's like nothing stays the same. Everything's constantly changing. So it's all about the ups and downs of life. It's true with business and also relationships and everything, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. So as we come to a close here, what's an advice you would give somebody who wants to do what you do?
I think for people that really want to get into sound and music for television and film, it's a much more diluted moment in the industry in terms of there's far more people that have the tools, some of the tools, now everyone's got a laptop, everyone's got a keyboard, everyone's, so the biggest thing that I could really, that helped me and that I could ever pass on is find your niche. What is it that you can do that other people aren't doing, or you can do better than what everyone else is doing? And really hone in on that and build from that. That has been the absolute thing that has helped me gain any success at all. And it's still to this day the one thing that my company has, that we have a very focused niche.
So tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me on my company at levelsaudio.com. That's levelsaudio.com. And our nonprofit is hollywoodcompassioncoalition.org. Both of those. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not a huge social media guy. I've got to not a lot of it just because I don't have the time. And I also am, I'm a pretty private person when it comes to family and stuff. So, but those are the two best ways.
Love that. We really enjoyed having you on the show today.
Yes, we did.
We look forward to having you back down the road for updates.
Sandy and Chris, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.
Oh,